Is it even possible to manage weight while taking prednisone? If you've ever wondered this, then welcome to part 3 of my Prednisone Weight Gain Marathon. I'm Dr. Megan, a board-certified doctor of pharmacy, third-generation pharmacist, and former prednisone patient myself. Over the years, I've had the privilege of speaking to some incredible prednisone warriors who face the same challenges you're facing right now, and they found ways to overcome them. In this final part 3 of the Weight Gain Marathon, you'll hear real stories of success, featuring interviews with a patient who lost weight while on prednisone and shares her secrets, a chef who overcame her prednisone cravings and turned her journey into inspiration, and a dietitian who specializes in long-term prednisone use, offering invaluable tips for managing your diet and health. These stories are not only packed with invaluable advice, but will also leave you feeling inspired and motivated to take control of your own prednisone journey. And don't forget to download your Nutrients You Need cheat sheet. It's a quick and easy guide to help you remember the key nutrients and foods your body needs while on prednisone. You'll find the link in the description or show notes. Let's dive into these amazing interviews with prednisone warriors. Hi, welcome to the Prednisone Warriors with Dr. Megan page. We have a guest today. This is so exciting. We have Brittany. She has taken prednisone for a long time and she's tried everything. And so we're going to hear what she has found that has worked. She's going to give us her best tips of how she has managed to even lose weight while on prednisone. So Brittany, tell us your story. How did you end up on prednisone?
Sure. Thanks for having me. So 13 years ago, I was diagnosed with acute rheumatoid arthritis, and then that led to a secondary diagnosis of thyroiditis, Hashimoto's diagnosis as well. And so when I was diagnosed, I was in a very bad place. And so I was immediately prescribed 60 milligrams of prednisone per day. Just to get me back up and running and back in life. And so, and then I, of course, started through the journey of which medications would make the most sense for my condition. And that literally turned into a 4 or 5 year journey of some pretty significant weight gain and just me trying to navigate through prednisone. I didn't even know what I didn't know, and my diagnosis and my inflammation and all of the things. And so fast forward to 5 or 6 years into my journey, I came across a program that was my answer. And so what it was a program that was described to me as it was created and developed by doctors. It is grounded in science, and it is genuinely based upon healthy body first and healthy mind, and finding the program that makes the most sense for you. And what the program is a really simple program where I started to eat 6 meals a day, 2.5 to 3 hours apart, making sure that I was drinking a lot of water. And 5 of those 6 meals were already taken care of for me. And so at that point in my life, I genuinely didn't have the room in my brain to start to meal plan and to start to coordinate and facilitate the perfect diet. I just didn't. It was so overwhelming because I was, dealing with other things. And so, the principles of it are every single meal is the perfect macronutrient profile. And what that means is it's 110 calories. It has just the right balance of protein, carbs, and fat. So it is not keto. And it's loaded with minerals and vitamins. And it is a clean product that has been approved globally, and it's been approved to go into Whole Foods, just to give you an idea of the quality of the product. And it is genuinely super simple. You eat within 30 minutes of waking up, and then you set your, I literally set my timer, and every 2.5 to 3 hours as I went through my day, I would have my next and my next and my next. I made one meal a day on my own, which was a healthy protein with healthy greens and a healthy fat. And then, like I said, the other 5 were already made for me. The other part that came with it that really helped me was an incredible community. And what I found was it was a community of so many people with so many stories very similar to my own. And I could immerse myself in it as much or as little as I wanted to. And I was able to connect and explore other people who might be in the same situation I was. So it was just such a positive, structured program that I needed. And like I have shared, I did lose, most recently last April, I lost 40 pounds in 4 months. And then my bigger win, which I love to share, is when I had originally started it years ago, I lost like 87 pounds in 8 months on prednisone, plus probably 3 or 4 other medications.
Wow, that's fantastic to hear when people can actually lose weight and still take prednisone. And you mentioned on a comment when I asked on the page, what do you like to eat as a snack? And you said, I don't eat snacks. I don't get hungry in between meals. And so you want to elaborate on that a little bit?
Sure. So, yeah, it's amazing. So what happens is the program works in a way where within 3 days of starting, when you follow the program as intended, you go into fat burn. And so genuinely, because I was eating every 2.5 to 3 hours throughout my day, the first 2 days, of course, there was, an adaptation for my body to like turn into, convert into, if you will, fat burn. But once I was in fat burn and on the program and eating every 2.5 to 3 hours, there were truly days I almost had a hard time getting it all in, versus coming from a place of, I was kind of all over the place. I mean, I was winging it every day, working more than full time, raising children, trying to coordinate all these meals, and it was just a free for all. So the structure of it and the every 2.5 to 3 hours, and I believe, being nourished with minerals and vitamins, I wasn't hungry. I mean, I just didn't need a snack. I didn't need anything more. I worked at making sure I got all 6 in versus, not really kind of grabbing things and just randomly not having a plan.
And so what did you eat before when you were gaining weight on prednisone compared to
Sure.
what's in these meals that you're eating now?
Sure. So before that, I've learned so much. I like to say, like, I genuinely learned how to eat on this program, and I really believed that I knew how to before. So before that, grilled, I was always making chicken and the vegetables and making sure that there was brown rice or, the typical, right, American family meal where I'm a mom. And so I wanted to make sure that my kids were getting healthy nutrition. And so I really believed that I was providing that. But what I have come to learn was, number one, how much less food I needed. I was a volume eater for sure. And so I learned that when you have the perfect balance, especially the protein and the fat, that it completely cancels out that ravish for carbs. So I came from, carbs were my thing. I would fill myself up with carbs. Of course, the prednisone was generating that. I drank diet soda. I had pasta and brown rice and, and again, my first thought was the carb part. And I completely flipped to learning that, wow, when I have, the right amount of protein and the right amount of fats, balanced with the correct amount of carbs, I actually started to crave proteins. So that was probably the biggest shift for me. And that's genuinely how I have fed my family and how my grown children now eat. You know, that it's that whole lean protein, whatever it is that you like, complemented with those healthy greens, especially, and then just that little bit of carbs. And before then too, I had gone to a nutritionist, and I'd had a dietitian advise me through my doctor when I was in the midst of my diagnosis and everything, you know, and they were definitely telling me to eat, you know, the 5 to 6 small meals throughout the day. I just had the profile completely wrong. You know, I was trying, you know, and I was grocery shopping and grabbing the things that I knew would work, and I was throwing things together, and you know, I was off. And so once I dialed it in with the gift of these pre-made meals for me that I could plan, and you know, in the morning I would leave for work, I would have my, I had my cupboard at home, I had my lunchbox for the day, and I had set myself up for success without ever meal prepping anything. And then I had the mind space to get home and make the perfect dinner that, you know, made sense. And yeah, so it was just amazing because I just, you know, this program tweaked it all for me. It did the science for me. It was already figured out. And then as I went through the program, I learned so much. The program also comes with an incredible life book that is, you know, just a page a day that I would read, and I would journal, and I would learn. And I just, you know, it was a journey. It was not a quick fix. It was a journey. And, you know, fast forward to today, you know, and I would never make any medical claims. That's not what this is about, but I don't have inflammation. I have no pain. I am now down to 5 milligrams of prednisone that I will wean off of, you know, and I did. So it's just, it works. It works. And, you know, when over all the years, anytime I did the program correctly, it was the one thing I could count on. And yeah, and I have my before here. I can hold it up, my before and after. That is, you know, I even think back and I just don't even know that person. But you know, there is my before and after.
Oh my goodness. That's like two
And that
different
was
people.
8 months. Yeah, that was 8 months on the program. Just, you know, following it, I became the student, you know. I just listened to my coach, and she coached me through. And my coach was someone who had coached over 1,000 people to health. And so it was a pretty amazing journey.
That is amazing. So your prednisone journey, you've been on 60 milligrams. Is that the highest you've been on?
Yes, 60 was the highest.
And you were on that for a while, and now you're on 5. Can you talk more about your prednisone dose and compare that to like your weight and how that's
Sure.
like how you've been able to manage it depending on the dose, kind of a deal?
Sure. So when I was on the 60, I felt out of control. I did. I felt like I had no control. And I was on that on and off for like 2 years in the beginning of my diagnosis. And I had incredible doctors, you know, who they wanted to get me off of the prednisone every bit as much as I wanted to get off. But my challenge was I was on hydroxychloroquine and methotrexate and Enbrel and Humira. And I had a reaction to the biologics. I was allergic. And so through that process, I was on a roller coaster with prednisone. Sometimes it was 60, then we'd try 40, then we'd try 20, and then I'd be up to 40. So I just remember that time and those years of like, as soon as I could count on something like a biologic or the hydroxychloroquine or whatever, they stopped working for me, or I had a reaction to them. And so ultimately landed at 20 milligrams of prednisone for a long time. I'd say like 7 years, just kind of almost giving into it and saying it is what it is and we'll figure it out. But this program, this way of eating was my hero. That became my saving grace, because then I felt like I could manage anything. You know, I didn't have the excess weight. I could stay within, you know, my pretty ideal healthy weight, give or take 10 or 15 pounds, and just always dial it back in then. So it helped me to manage it. But yeah, I mean, as recent as, you know, a couple years ago, just having a flare, you know, and again, them saying, okay, we're going to give you a quick zap of that 5-day protocol. I've done that more times than I would care to admit. And then it brings me back in, and then I do the 20. And again, it always comes back to, you know, me saying, okay, go to what I know, go to this way of eating that supports whether I'm on 5 or 60 or 20. And it works. I haven't gained weight in the last 2 or 3 years like I ever did in the beginning.
That's awesome. Just, there's so many factors that are important when you're trying to manage your appetite and your weight and all of those things. And it sounds like this covers so many of them. Some people are very self-motivated and can do things on their own, but others need that community support. They need the full behavior change that sounds like comes from this journal. I can't remember what you called it, but that journal. And then life is hard. Coming up with 6 meals a day is really hard.
Yes.
And you're like, it's hard enough to come up with that one good meal, right? And so
yes.
I mean, this all sounds like, for a person who's on prednisone, that it covers so many of the bases that you need. And every person's different in what they need to support them in their health and their journey through this, through prednisone side effects, especially the weight gain. And so I love hearing every person who succeeds and what actually helps them succeed. So is there anything else you'd like to add?
Sure. So just in closing, you know, I guess would like to add, I hope I said it earlier, but the magic of this program and why I believe it worked so well for the prednisone is that the whole point of the program is to balance your blood sugars. By doing what it recommends, it balances your blood sugar, it brings down your inflammation, your sleep improves, and the huge win from the program is focus, like mental clarity and mental focus, so that you can navigate through. So I think that's most important. And like I said, I just have a ton of empathy and compassion for anyone who has gone through any kind of autoimmune disease. I can relate. I've been there. And so I just want to add value. I love Dr. Megan's group. I'm in it every day, and I just love her videos and listening to all of her wisdom. I've taken her Nutrinize product for a few years now. I mean, my husband as well. We love it. And so, yeah, I just want to share, and I just want to make sure that everybody has the information, because it was a gift. It was such a gift to me. And so if there's any way that, you know, I could help support anybody to get you more information and get you connected to the right program, you know, please comment below or PM me. I would be more than happy to support you and help you in any way I can.
That is so generous of you. Thank you, Brittany. I didn't realize that the goal was to balance blood sugars, and that's really what is so necessary for people on prednisone, because it's a glucocorticoid, which means the number one thing it's messing with is your glucose, your blood sugars. So finding something that can support that aspect is so valuable. I am so excited to share with you the story of a prednisone warrior who lost that's 20 pounds while taking prednisone. I know, right? Like, that's amazing. So here we have Susan, a prednisone warrior who's been on prednisone for a while and is not going to be off it anytime soon. Welcome, Susan.
Thank you, Dr. Megan. It's a pleasure to be here and to share my story with my fellow warriors.
Yes, you are a prednisone warrior fighting truly to be able to actually lose weight while on prednisone. That is amazing. So tell us, what is your prednisone story? Like, why are you taking it? How long have you been on it? That type of thing.
I started taking prednisone back in November of 2021, so it's been about 8 months. I was first diagnosed with polymyalgia rheumatica and then had biopsies done on my temporal lobes to find out that both sides contained the giant cell arthritis. So, and my tests came back that they were really high and with the whatever protein they count. And anyway, I needed to get on some heavy doses of prednisone while on being diagnosed with just the polymyalgia rheumatica. I was on maybe 20 milligrams, but when they found out I had giant cell arthritis, that jumped to 45.
Oh my gosh, 45.
So yeah, that was shocking. And so been dealing with that, dealing with all the side effects that everyone has. And my doctor, while explaining some of the side effects, did not explain them all, didn't tell me them all. And all of a sudden, I'm waking up and my cheeks are flushed. And I'm like, why is my face all red for? Well, it's prednisone side effect, So does my face start looking a little fuller? And he never mentioned moon face to me. No, didn't mention moon face. He did say I may, quote, may gain weight. And so, I'm looking at my face and I'm asking my husband, does my face look a little fuller? He goes, oh, you look fine. You look just fine. But I think it looks a little fuller. And then I'm seeing people who go, like me, what happened to your face? And I'm like, yeah, Then I have to explain I'm on prednisone. And so all the side effects, the hair breaking off, the restlessness, the lack of concentration, I mean, you name the side effect, I was dealing with it. But I think what was the side effect that most bothered me was the weight gain. It's like all of a sudden I woke up one morning and I looked in the mirror and I said, who are you? I mean, who are you? I don't fit in my clothes. I was to the point where I didn't want to go out. I so depressed and so just embarrassed, because it was such a dramatic gain of weight in such a short period of time. People were wondering what happened to you. Yeah. And what happened to me is I was eating my way into oblivion. I was hungry.
Hungry all the time, right?
All the time. And, and I knew it was the prednisone, but that didn't stop me from eating. I would eat and then I would sit and cry after I ate a bag of potato chips. And I just sit and cry because I couldn't undo that. Just ate a big bag of potato chips. And, or I just ate, a pint of ice because I was hungry. I don't know, things I would never have done. And I'm normally, I've been a normal weighted person, and all of a sudden, I wouldn't go to church on Sundays. Clothes fit. I mean, it was stopping me, was stopping my life. And that's when I started doing more research, Megan, and I came across you. And I think that's a godsend to me, that I started listening to your videos. I started, you were answering the questions that my doctor didn't have time to. I mean, he couldn't spend hours with me. And so you explained it in a way I could understand. I could know what was going on in my body, that it really wasn't my fault. Because so many times you think it's your fault.
Yeah, it feels that way, doesn't it? Like, yeah. It must be my fault I'm gaining all this weight. It must be my fault that I'm getting that round face. And it's not your fault.
And then I'm anxious, I can't sleep, and all this crazy stuff. But again, the weight thing was the thing that that bothered me the most. And in March, I went to visit my brother in Arizona, whom I haven't seen in years. And I went with my sister, and we were taking family pictures. And where did I want to be? I was hiding in the back row because I didn't want to say how heavy I was, but I couldn't hide my face. My moon face was, oh yeah, it was showing up and everything. And I just, so I came home from that. That was the middle of March. And I had seen a video that you had when you had interviewed a woman who had been on prednisone and had lost, I think, 70 pounds, 90 pounds. It was a lot of weight. And I reached out to you to put me in contact with this woman. And I did. And she set me on a path to weight loss. And I am a witness to say that, and I've got pictures to prove it. I think, Megan, I've shared those pictures with you.
Yeah.
How I lost in 3.5 months. I'm at my goal weight now. I've lost 20 pounds and I lost 25.5 inches. And it's amazing. I'm in better shape than I've been in ages. I feel good. My mental outlook is so much better. I want to go out and do things. I'm active again. And so I want to say to my fellow warriors that don't let your doctor tell you you can't lose weight, or they would say, oh, don't worry about it. You'll lose weight when you're off the dosage. Well, in my case, I don't know. I might never be off it completely. If I have, a flare up, I'll go back on it. So I wasn't willing to wait because I had already gained 20 and it had been just a couple of months. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, if I'm on this for another 6 or 8 months. If I wait, I'm going to have 50 pounds to lose. And that seems to me insurmountable. But I'm telling my fellow warriors, no matter where you are in your weight gain, you can start it now. You can and be successful. You can take control. I did no extra exercising. I didn't exercise hardly at all. I mean, just walking, that's me. So it isn't a program that that's impossible, that takes super heroic deeds. It just takes, a willpower and stuff, and knowing what to eat, when to eat, and it's good.
That is so amazing. Okay, so I want to fill in some blanks because people are probably wondering, what dose were you taking of prednisone when you started the program? What dose are you taking now? Because, the dose really makes an impact on your weight gain.
Yes. At the time I started taking when I started the program, which is called OptiV, is what the program that I'm on, I was probably at 35 milligrams. I've been at 45. I'd weaned myself down to 35. I am now presently on a tapering dosage, and I'm doing one of your plans, Megan, where one day I'm 7, one day I'm 6, and I'm going to do this for a month. I've tried to come down quicker, doesn't work for me. I end up going back up. I'm going to start to come down. I've done that twice. So this way that you suggest every other day has worked for me, and it did from the 8 to the 7, and now it seems to be working from the 7 to the 6. And at this rate, I should be off the beginning of January. So,
and it's July right now, so you got at least 6 months to go. Is that what you're saying?
Right. So I've got to keep, even though I'm at my goal weight, I can't just go back to not being disciplined. And I mean, how I'm eating now is kind of a life plan for me. It's going to have to be, because I'm still hungry. If I don't fuel my body, I still want some of those potato chips or the ice cream. So you've got to get it under control. And what I do now is I eat 6 times a day. That sounds like a whole lot, but I'm eating small meals every 2.5 hours, so I don't get hungry. I don't get those, pangs or cravings that I was getting when I was not doing anything except eating potato chips and eating the ice cream. So I'm fueling my body with with bars or shakes, cereal, those kinds of things. And then I eat and prepare myself one meal a day that's lean. So it could be chicken, it could be fish, it could be eggs, something with protein. And getting enough protein is always a struggle. Yeah, it's amazing how difficult it is to get protein in your diet. And then something green. So maybe it's steamed vegetables, salad, and that's it for my dinner meal. Then I have a little snack before I go to bed. And I drink lots of water. That has been key to my losing weight. I think I drink about 96 ounces of water a day.
Wow.
I know, but it's good for my skin.
Are you drinking any other beverages, or is it just water?
I also supplement myself with a bottle of something called Propel, so that my electrolytes are, because that's a lot of water in your flushing system. But that's it. I don't drink anything. I just drink water.
So you have those shakes that you have for one or two of the.
Yeah, I now have a protein bar, and they're all provided through the Optavia program, which for me was easy. I don't want to be searching everywhere to find the right stuff, or I don't want to stop and prepare it. I'm on the go now that I'm feeling good. I just want to be able to have those 5, they call them fuelings, ready to go. And I just pick and put it in my purse and off I go with the bar. And then I come home and I make dinner for my husband and I, and he usually eats the same food I do because it's tasty. I mean, I'm making a dinner. It's just lean and green.
Lean and green.
I have all the sauces and stuff. Yeah, so it works for people that have families, and I don't have to think about it. I can't concentrate sometimes that long enough. My mind is still kind of. So if I have to think that far ahead of how I'm going to plan everything for the week, it's too much. I'm overwhelmed.
Too hard while you're on prednisone, for sure.
Yeah, it is.
You're able to fit this into your lifestyle, fit this into your family.
Yes, and it works. And you lose 2-3 pounds. For me, I lost 2-3 pounds a week. I didn't have a lot to lose. I only had 20 pounds to lose. So depends on how much you have to lose. Some people lose at faster rates than others. So, but I've introduced a couple of my friends to it who don't take prednisone are successfully losing weight. So, but I just wanted to let people know that there are things out there that can be quick and easy. Doesn't require a lot of planning or thinking. All you have to do is prepare yourself one meal a day. Otherwise, you go to the food box that they send you. You pick out your whatever it is you're going to eat. You go microwave it if it's a soup or whatever, or just open the bar, have your coffee or whatever in the morning. But it works, Megan, and I just want people to know that don't let your doctors discourage you from trying.
Yeah, because I gained weight too on prednisone. I was like, hey, is this going to come off when I get off the prednisone? And my doctor's like, nope, it's weight gain. I'm like, but it's supposed to go away. Like when I have babies, it just goes away. You can't tell me it's just stuck there, yeah, that's about all they had to offer me. Right. Like
I remember listening to you on a video and you said, because people were asking, is it just going to go away? And you said, weight is weight. It's just not going to go away. You're going to have to work at it.
Yeah. Yeah. You definitely had the dose lowering in your favor, right? Like,
yes, I did.
You were on 35 and now you're 6.5 essentially.
Yes.
And so that has helped definitely to boost your ability to lose weight, but it is really all about not having to face the cravings, right? Like,
yes,
the decision's already made. Isn't that like half the battle?
Oh, yes, because when you're on prednisone, you can't think. I mean, I'm just thinking I'm grabbing the potato chips. Or now I can go grab a bar or go get a shake or something like that, so I can make a different choice. So, people can do this. I just encourage, if it's not this program for them, but to look out and to search for something. I mean, you mentioned in your videos about things we have to be careful of. Sugar, so fruit. I love fruit. Fruit's not on this diet. Fruit's got a lot of sugar in it.
Mm-hmm.
So I miss, my grapes or my peaches, and all the summertime goodies that, can I have a little bit? Yeah, but really I have to watch. Sugar is not my friend, as you have said before.
Yeah.
So certain things, we have to watch out, but I'm not hungry. And it's worth it. I can do it. I can keep doing it. And I'm going to have to change my lifestyle. And my fellow warriors, you can do it too.
You could do it too, even if you have a condition like PMR or giant cell arteritis. It is possible. It's not easy, but she found a solution that was easy for her. And so you basically mentioned what your go-to snack is a protein bar. Do all of the protein bars you eat come from Optavia, or do you have another favorite protein bar that you like?
The reason I just use Optavias at this point is because it's only 110 calories in the bars, whereas I go to the grocery store and I look, they're 190 calories or 200 calories, and right now my goal is, because of my weight, I weigh 120, so to maintain my weight I need to eat about 1,200 calories a day. That could add up. If I have 5 of those, I'm over my allotted amount of calories there. So for me, it's the ease of that. I mean, could I take one of those that are 190 and break them in half? Yeah, but usually once I start eating, I will eat the whole thing.
Eat the whole thing. That's right.
So I just take that temptation off my plate.
Yes, exactly. So, I mean, if there are other people with PMR who are like, well, couldn't you take something else instead of prednisone so you don't have to gain all the weight? What would you say to them?
Yes, there are some other things that you can take. I think they're called biologics, if that would be the correct term. But I have diverticulitis. And because of that, I can't take the other sort of medicine that when I come off of prednisone, I could go on. It's not an option for me. So for me, it's prednisone.
It's prednisone. And you're on the dead slow taper so that you can successfully get off of it. You kind of already showed us that you're doing 6 to 7, and then next month you'll probably just do 6 milligrams, and then the month after that 5.
I'm doing every other day right now because I have had to go up. And when I see my doctor, if my tests don't come back with the right numbers, he's putting me back up again, and we're going to start this thing all over again. So it's difficult. I'm going to be dealing with this for the rest of my life.
Yeah. So some people who are on prednisone and losing weight, they struggle like going to bed hungry. How has sleep been for you?
I've been sleeping really well, and all of a sudden, I don't know, the prednisone, something's happened, and I've been having some difficulty sleeping again, where I hadn't had difficulty sleeping before. I usually have a little snack before I go to bed. Since I'm eating every 2.5 hours during the day, if I have my breakfast at 8:30, I'm having a snack probably around, and I have my dinner probably then about 6:30 till about 9. I'm having my last fueling for the day.
Okay.
And so I'm eating something before I go to bed, and water fills you up too. I drink water, so that really works. And one thing I wanted to mention about Optavia is, the lady that you interviewed, Brittany Taft, she is a coach for Optavia, and that's no extra cost. You get a coach, and she's just wonderful because she knows what it's like. She's been on prednisone and had to lose weight, so she was real empathetic to how, knowing what I was going through and being able to help me navigate all the other things besides just losing weight. She knew what it was like not to be able to focus and being depressed and, the moon face and all the other things that, she'd been there, had it, done it. And she's a wonderful coach. And I speak to her, if once a week. I spoke to her just about every day when I started the plan, but now I'm comfortable. And we talk about once a week, and just gives me tips on and motivates me to keep going. And so, and she's been kept her weight off, and it's been a couple years, so it's possible.
It's possible. It
Yeah.
is. Yeah, Brittany is great. She did the Optavia in addition to using the supplement I invented for people on prednisone. So she put all that together and was able to lose weight while on prednisone.
Yes. But I just want to say again, Megan, I just want to thank you so much, because you've really changed my life. You answered my prayers, you answered my questions, and I've even sometimes emailed you directly or through Facebook, and you've gotten back to me. I was just like, oh, she responded to my question, and led me where I needed to go, or answered the question, say, go watch this video or whatever. Because most of what you have, if people take the time to go through it, will answer just about every question there is on prednisone. And I'm just amazed with how clearly, in layman's terms, that you are able to deal with the situation. You're just very real about it, and your answers are honest, and you offer us hope.
There's hope. I mean, there really is hope. Though, I mean, I was gonna say, what is your best advice for prednisone warriors? But I think you've shared that. Like, what you've said is there is hope. You can do this. Other people have. Any other last tips or last words?
Yes. Oh, pardon me. Do your research. Just don't rely on your doctor. I mean, they have other patients and other things they're thinking about, and most of them haven't been on prednisone. So they have really no idea what you're talking about when you're saying, I'm going crazy. And stuff. So it's, I say, do your research. It's at your fingertips. Listen to you, and just reach out when you need help. Let your doctor know. But I would say, yes, do your research. You have to be proactive. And that's what I think I decided to do when I lost weight. I just didn't throw in and say, I'll deal with it later. I said, no, I'm going to deal with it now. I wasn't going to let that define me. And so be proactive. We can do this. We can get through this. And my hopes that I'm off of it. Let's just pray that I am by, January. And then hopefully won't have any flare-ups. But like I said, with GCA.
Yeah. And what a blessing that you have a condition that could flare up at any time. You are like it, you might go into remission. You might be just fine getting off in January, but then again, you might be stuck on it for years and years, but you are like, you have hope. Like, you know exactly what to do, right? Like, you have a plan.
I do. And, and I know that if I have to get back at it, it's not going to control me. I can do this again. I can, I know where to go. I come to you, listen to your videos, get myself all ramped up again, and we'll do it. We'll do it again, because I know that with the giant cell arthritis, I can go suddenly and irreversibly blind at any time. That's scary to me.
That's terrible.
So, if I have to take prednisone in order to avoid that, I'll be taking it.
Yeah. In your case, taking the prednisone is worth the side effects, because blindness is like not,
Right. Not acceptable.
Like, weight gain is worth blindness. Yes. And now you know how to counteract the weight gain. So you're set. Well, Susan, this has been a privilege. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am Dr. Megan, your prednisone pharmacist. And Susan, like Susan says, there's hope. You can find ways to counteract side effects. I'm Dr. Megan, the prednisone pharmacist. And today I have a special interview for you. I have Chef Sheila, the Sp-Asthmatic chef. She is a professional chef, and she has to take prednisone to cope with her asthma. we are so lucky because she also has a YouTube channel with amazing, delicious, delectable foods on there that she has designed for people taking steroids. So I have the opportunity to interview her today about what she thinks about food and cravings and all of the food related questions that we face when we're on prednisone. So first of all, Sheila, what is your prednisone story? How long have you been taking it? What has your experience been like? What's your highest dose, your lowest dose, so the people can see how similar their experience might be to yours?
Wow, that's really, really a loaded question
Okay,
and
for
a
like
loaded
2 minutes.
story. I gotcha. Well, first of all, thank you for doing this and thank you for the wonderful introduction. And I'm so excited to be able to do this with you. So thank you very much. So my story is I'm a lifelong severe asthmatic. I've had a couple different kinds of infections that happen when you take steroids because your immune system gets really tanked, as you know. And oh my gosh, my highest dose is, if you've ever had an asthma attack or been in the hospital, they give you about 120 every 4 hours. And that is a loaded dose. I mean, and that goes for about 4 or 5 days sometimes.
Oh my.
So you talk about getting that crazy steroid mania, that happens. So I'd say that's probably around the highest dose is the 120 every 4 hours. The lowest dose, I have a problem with absorption, so I think my lowest dose has been 32 milligrams, which is still a very high dose.
That is way high.
Yeah, it is, and I have the side effects to prove it. The steroids are a blessing and a curse for sure. And so what was the other question?
How long have you been on it?
So I've been a lifelong asthmatic, and I think I got put on steroids when I was about 17. And then I was on and off steroids because I was incorrectly diagnosed as an emphysema patient, which is crazy. I ended up moving from Philadelphia to National Jewish here in Colorado to get a proper treatment and a proper diagnosis. So it was quite a journey getting to where I'm at. A lot of misinformation on the way, but a ton of steroids because everybody gives you steroids for everything. So it's been difficult, but it, had to deal with it and learned and kept working, was able to work throughout. And so it was a journey, definitely. And so how I got in, I've always been a chef. I started being a chef when I was about 18. I worked in Marriott hotels all over the United States. And then I worked as a chef for a college here in Colorado. As a professional chef, I oversaw the entire school and all of our outlets. And my health kind of declined because the hours are long and it's very difficult. So I stepped back and I started doing some different things. And I love the YouTube. It's so much fun. And I love sharing the information. I love being able to teach people on the different things they can eat.
Awesome. I'm so excited to find out more. So when you're on high doses of prednisone, what is your go-to snack?
Oh, that is a great. So sweets are my thing, and I love sweets, but knowing that the steroids, that I call it the steroid monsters, are in your head, they're not telling you the best information. So my go-to snacks are usually fruits. I try to keep it to strawberries, bananas, and I try to have blueberries. Biggest tip ever, get yourself the biggest box of blueberries you can and keep it with you so you can just snack on those. Because I don't know what happens to your brain, but you feel like you need to eat constantly. And so those blueberries really help. Gum, blueberries, lifesavers, anything that has low calorie and you can just eat a lot of.
That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah, the fruits are important.
Fruits are way important. So that kind of leads me to the next question, which is, what do you think is the number one best food to eat while you're on prednisone?
Oh, wow. So on prednisone, I guess it depends on what your dose is, because you're trying to avoid fats, oils, sugars. So my favorite food is going to be, I'm a vegetarian as well, so I'm going to have something with nuts. I like peanuts, I like peanut butters, high protein, as much protein as I can get when I'm on really high doses of steroids. Lower doses, I think I eat more eggs, and very clean though. So I try to make it a very protein rich diet,
Mm-hmm.
because your muscles are breaking down from the steroids, you're having all of these different side effects. And if you're eating sugars, you're going to have your sugars going up and down. It's really important to have a high protein diet. So my favorites are going to be peanuts, nuts, anything with peanut butter, stuff like that.
I love that. So it's really something high protein. I like that.
Absolutely. And
Great.
mindfulness, thinking about that, making sure that you're doing that. It's very important.
Yes. Mindfulness is so key. Okay. What do you think is the number one food to avoid while on prednisone? You kind of hinted at it, but something.
Sugar would probably be my number one. You crave the sugar, you want the sugar, but sugar is so bad for you, because you start getting the diabetes symptoms and your sugars go up and down, and then you really start having a lot of trouble. So I think I would try to avoid sugars, like granulated sugar and all the different kinds of sugars. Fruit, there is sugar in fruit, but if you're going to have something naughty, I think fruit is the one thing you could have.
Yeah. And the fruit comes with fiber and all the other nutrients. So it kind of balances
And
it out,
vitamins.
right?
Yeah, absolutely. Just,
Yeah.
I guess, not indulging too much.
Yeah. Refined sugars are definitely the worst, I think, too. So then, based on that, what do you think is the ideal diet strategy for people on prednisone? You said that you're vegetarian, so what do you think?
So that's a really good question. I'm not a vegetarian because of the steroids. I'm a vegetarian because I'm a chef. And I have worked with all kinds of meats, and I don't want to ingest those. So the best diet, I think, did you say the best diet? Is that what you
Well,
said?
like the best strategy for eating, the best diet, whatever you want to
So,
call it, how to eat while you're on prednisone.
so the best strategy is to plan your meals out.
Ooh.
That is, to me, the very best strategy, especially if you know you're getting sick and you still have your energy and you're still okay. I usually set myself up a plan for success. If I know I'm going to end up in the hospital and I know that I'm going to end up on high doses of steroids, I start planning my meals then. So I might have like a smoothie package that I put together with fruits and bananas, and have that in the freezer, so when I get home, I don't have to struggle with making food or anything. I might have some soups that I prepared, put them in the freezer. So then I have things that are real easy to do. So I think planning and making sure that you're not using a lot of oils or pre-made foods, that is so bad for you, because it has the high salts, and it's just not a good way to go when you're taking a lot of steroids.
I totally agree with that. Oh, man. So this is a direct quote from somebody's post on Facebook. They said, "How do you curb your appetite while on prednisone? I'm literally living out of my pantry." So what's your tip?
Oh my gosh, I can totally relate to that. And again, I would say planning. You have to plan, but here's my number one thing. Get rid of the junk in your house, because you will eat it. You don't have the willpower when you are on high doses of steroids. So the only way that I have found that I can control myself a lot of times is I will just throw away cookies, crackers, any of that stuff, and then I'll put a lot of fruits and vegetables and be forced. The other thing, and this is a little snacky thing that helps, get a big box of really good cereal. It sounds silly, but I'm telling you, if it's like Cheerios or something that doesn't have a lot of sugar, make sure it's healthy. Something you can keep putting in your mouth that has low calorie, low sugar, fiber in it, that will help with your appetite. That, you know, you can just keep on eating and you're not going to have all the side effects of huge calories and all that. Because really, you just want something in your mouth. Is really what it comes down to. You just want to put things in your mouth. And so I think a big box of good cereal is a huge, huge help.
I heard from one guy once, he's like, I actually ate an entire box of cereal in the middle of the night when I couldn't sleep. So maybe several boxes.
Well, I definitely can understand that, especially when you really have got the munchies. I mean, you just can't. It's hard. But
so
another
hard.
thing you can do though that I find is very helpful is to drink a lot of water. And people say that, but I've also got a little trick that helps me is I put a little bit of honey in the water or a little bit of sugar in the water, not much, just a little. And that actually helps quite a bit. Also gum, chewing gum helps because you've got
something in your mouth.
Yeah. It helps quite a bit.
Yeah. Oh, those are great tips. So then my final question is, what do you suggest to people who feel stuck since they are taking prednisone? Because they're so sick they can't get out of bed. Like they're taking prednisone and they're so sick they can't be in the kitchen cooking. So what do they do? I mean, prepared
Right.
foods aren't the best because they're high sodium. So what do you suggest?
Well, you know, that is a really good question. And that's where I revert back to the saying of if it's from the tree, if it's from the root, if it's from the ground. So what I mean by that is eat as much raw, as much, as many things raw as you can that you don't have to do any kind of prep. Eat carrots, apples, anything you can just, you know, comes from a garden that you can just wash off and eat. That's and that doesn't always work for everybody, but that's one way that you can help yourself and not have to put a lot of energy. You know, the other thing that's been very helpful is these the way the stores are delivering.
Yeah.
That is a huge help. So you can go and you can look at all the produce and you can look at all the different things and you can build yourself a super healthy menu and have it delivered to you. And so that's, you know, and if you're wanting to spend money, there is the Fresh and Lean company. I don't know if you're familiar with them.
Not.
It is incredible. They put together, I do the vegan, and they put together like a tofu, a rice, and some excellent vegetables. And it's low sodium, low oil. It's made for just popping in the microwave. So that's another really good way to take care of yourself. You know, and then there's always soup. You can always do soup, low calorie soup, and watch the sodium.
Watch the sodium.
Yeah, because anything that's easy that you buy a lot of times has a lot of sodium, and I think people forget that because what they're doing is they're looking for the sugar, but then they sneak in all the sodium and then you have other problems.
So those are more. I could not.
Yeah, those are some of my tips.
Those are amazing tips. I love it. This has been so incredibly helpful. I think everybody who's watching this should go check out Chef Sheila, the Sp-Asthmatic Chef, her YouTube channel. She's got way more great information on there. This was just a taste, just a bite, just a
Very
sample
funny
of what you can find over on her YouTube channel. And not only that, but she has a cookbook. You can do this at home. So you want to tell us about your cookbook?
Oh, wow. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm so hungry and I'm still hungry. So I actually have 2 books.
I'm so hungry and I'm still hungry.
Because when you take steroids, you never stop being hungry. You just
true.
Continually are hungry. So in the second book that came out, it's a colored version. I think it has a lot of fruits and vegetables, very easy recipe. So if you aren't feeling well, there's a couple challenging ones, but not all of them are, super easy. Not all of them are super hard, depending on what you want to do. So yeah, I think and it's got a little story in there, and it gives you tips and tricks on what you can do when you're taking steroids. So hopefully if you guys go out and get it, you enjoy it, and it's very helpful. And with the YouTube channel, you can always ask me questions in the comment box.
Yeah, because you're the one. It's you. You're the one on that YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And you can find her cookbook on Amazon. So
Oh, that's right. I'm so sorry. Yeah.
check it out
I'm
there.
still hungry.
I'm still hungry. It's on Amazon. I checked it. I
Yeah.
look awesome. So
I'll have to send you a copy.
yeah, that would be awesome. I would love to try your recipes. Those look fantastic. And the pictures. Ooh, I can't wait. So thanks everybody for watching today. Go check out Chef Sheila, the Sp-Asthmatic Chef, both on Amazon and on YouTube. I'm thrilled to have a guest today who can share a perspective I haven't heard before. Most of the people I've talked to have only taken prednisone for a short period of time, but she's taken it for 20 years. And not only that, but she's had a side effect that people need to know about that should never happen in somebody as young as she. So welcome, Christina, the Arthritis Dietitian. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, Dr. Megan, for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Awesome. So I am really excited to hear how you ended up on prednisone, what you're taking it for, and just how you got to this point. So let's start with just like, what did you take prednisone for the first time?
Well, the first time was 20 years ago, exactly, when I was experiencing, when I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. That's back home in Colombia. There were no biologics, there were no advanced treatments. The only treatments were prednisone, methotrexate, maybe Plaquenil. So prednisone was the first thing that I was given.
And so you got some relief at that point from the rheumatoid arthritis, and like, where was it affecting you?
I believe so. I started a fairly high dose. At that time, it started me on like 50 milligrams for pain to reduce inflammation, and I believe it helped. But my rheumatoid arthritis was actually moderate to severe, and to the point that within the first 6 months of diagnosis, I developed joint deformities.
In 6 months?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness. Wow. That is serious. That's severe right there for sure. Oh, wow. So it was helping. And then what? What happened next? Tell us more about your story.
So they say that it was helping. They at that time, so honestly, my memory is a little blurry now at 20 years. But all I can remember is that they kept on adding medications, but never stopped the prednisone. I did receive advice that we cannot stop the prednisone right away. You're going to feel like severe side effects, and it's helping you with the inflammation. And the reality is that the moment I started to decrease the dosage of prednisone, my fingers started to swell up again. I started with more fatigue and more pain. So the doctors will automatically say, you know what, you still need the prednisone to support the other medication. So when I came to Canada, I was hoping that maybe getting more advanced treatments, they will be able to reduce or get rid of my prednisone dose, and it didn't happen. It's still the same thing. It appeared that your body got used to the prednisone, or your what do you call it?
Your adrenals?
The adrenal glands just stop producing cortisol, so you just need to supplement prednisone for a long time. They didn't really give me a timeline.
Yeah. Oh man. So we don't know why you're stuck on prednisone, whether it's the disease or damage to your adrenal glands, causing secondary insufficiency to your adrenals. But whatever it is, you've been on it. You have a long experience taking it. So we've heard how you started, but I promised everyone that we would hear something exciting, a side effect story that isn't typical, that people don't talk about enough. And I would love to hear your story.
Yeah, so what happened is when I got pregnant in 2018 with rheumatoid arthritis, and of course, the physician wanted to be very safe in terms of medications, right? And want to hurt the baby, but the one medication that they said it was going to be safe during pregnancy was prednisone. So at that point, I was actually on a pretty low dose, between 4 and 5 milligrams a day. But during pregnancy, they say, no, we're gonna increase it to 10 milligrams. And because we're stopping all your pain medications, everything. So it was horrible, horrible pain. And the only thing that helped with my pain again was prednisone, because that was the only thing that they were able to adjust. So life continued. I was 20 weeks pregnant, and one lady ran the red light and T-bone us.
Oh no.
So so that led me to a huge rheumatoid arthritis flare up. And so what happened? They increased my prednisone to 20 milligrams until the rest of the pregnancy. And they said, you're going to continue that until you deliver your baby. And I did have a specialist that it was looking after me, like the inflammation levels. But the only thing that was able to control the pain at that time was the prednisone. So I said, I'll take it, right? That was the only thing that was safe. So the moment the rheumatologist told me, generally for women with rheumatoid arthritis, they hit a postpartum flare-up at 6 to 8 weeks after delivering a baby. Well, I went through a C-section and I had the flare-up the next day.
Can't believe that. Like the next day. Oh, that's horrid.
And I believe, and I don't think they've received the prescription from this specialist, but I believe I was supposed to get up to like 80 milligrams or 100 milligrams of prednisone IV during the delivery of my baby and a few days after. To be honest, I'm not sure if that happened, but all I know is that I kept complaining. I said, the pain is unbearable. And I said, oh, but it might be the incision from the C-section. I said, the C-section is a paper cut. Like, forget about the C-section. What's killing me is the pain, the flare-up, the RA pain. I couldn't lift my baby. He was only 4.5 pounds.
Oh my gosh.
And he weighed like he was an elephant. I couldn't breastfeed. It was so painful and frustrating. So nobody listened to me. I would say is the rheumatoid arthritis, is not a C-section. So I self-medicated. I know that was wrong, but I kept asking for help. So I started increasing the prednisone to 10 milligrams, 15 milligrams sometimes, because that was the only thing that was taking the pain away. Until slowly I started having some edema. My legs look huge. I couldn't breathe. I was kind of choking. I felt like there was like fluid in my lungs, and they kept telling me that it was normal from the C-section. And I did not really tell that I was using the prednisone, but finally I said, seriously, I'm in pain. And I've been taking this prednisone for the past week. And they said, well, you develop congestive heart failure. All because a combination of the rheumatoid arthritis flare-up and also the prednisone. And I was like, are you kidding me? So because in my mind, the whole time for almost 15 years, the rheumatologist told me, when you're having a flare-up, you could increase your prednisone by 1-2 milligrams and then bring it down.
Yeah.
At this time, I was so desperate. that it was too much. Even for me, like 10 milligrams, I was on it before. But perhaps because of the fluid shifting and everything that was happening in my body, that just pushed me to the edge, and I had to be re-hospitalized to flush all the fluid out and control and treat the CHF.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so CHF, for those of you who don't know, used to be called like congestive heart failure. It's also been called chronic heart failure. Now it has some fancy new terms like heart failure of the right with the ejection fraction preserved or not preserved. Anyway, it has lots of different names it's gone through over time. But essentially, it is when the heart isn't pumping right and it's kind of lagging. And so the blood isn't flowing right, and it's like stuck in the lungs and just pools in your feet kind of thing.
Mhm.
Normally, this doesn't happen to a young mom. This is normally something that happens in like your 80s or 90s. It's kind of, if nothing else has taken you, your heart just kind of over time starts giving up. And this is one of the ways. It's not something a young mom is supposed to have to deal with. So normally it's also a like chronic thing that once the damage is done, it's there and like there's no going back. So is it really still there for you? Like, is it still a chronic thing that you're dealing with every day, or did it kind of get better?
No, it got better. I was monitored for a year, and then the cardiologist cleared me and I said, "You're fine. You go back to your normal routine and get back." Still haven't been able to come off of it. Last year, again, it was a pretty awful year for my rheumatoid arthritis. The treatment I had to change. So sometimes when they're changing or trying a new therapy, they pump up the prednisone again while the other medication kicks in. So it's been my life companion, seriously, for 20 years. And people ask me like, "Oh, have you gained weight from it?" And I haven't.
Even when you were on higher doses?
No, I haven't. I probably got the puffy face. It's already puffy, like it's naturally puffy. But no, weight gain has not been. On the contrary, it has been more like loss of appetite. When I'm on prednisone, I feel the loss of muscle mass, like my muscles get weaker, and I don't sleep, like I can't sleep, and I get angry at everyone. So I tell them, I'm pumping up these prednisone, so please forgive me if I said anything inappropriate, because I'm like, I'm a horrible
It's a side
person.
effect. It's not me.
It's just like, I'm a horrible person. It's like everything makes me snappy. It's so, that's probably, I'm a jolly person. So when I get that prednisone, I don't know, bitterness, it bothers me. And the sleep disorders, that's really the things that I struggle with the most when I spike the prednisone.
That's interesting to hear. Going back to the weight gain, like 70% of people on prednisone report it. So you're one of the lucky 30% who doesn't get it. That's great. But you're getting the miserable, snappy bitterness and sleep deprivation. I got those too. So I definitely understand how miserable that can be and how it's like a vicious cycle, right? Like, was it the sleep loss that's causing the emotional roller coaster, or is it the emotional roller coaster causing a loss of sleep because of the prednisone and spiraling down? It's so hard.
So true. It's the thing that the sleep disorder just kicks me in right away. So right now I'm on 3 milligrams, and I've never been that low in my life. So I'm very lucky. I'm very happy actually that it's down to 3 milligrams, and I'm in the process of consulting with my rheumatologist. Could I continue working towards getting rid of it completely, or like you mentioned earlier, do I have an adrenal deficiency that I might need to supplement for the rest of my life. I don't know.
Yeah. And you can't really know until you try going off of it. And it's so hard. That's a whole nother conversation. One more thing, I wanted to go back to your heart. So most people don't know that prednisone affects your heart, that it can cause like long-term damage. And I really appreciate you sharing the story because it shows that it can cause a short-term episode of your heart having issues, but then it can also cause long-term issues. And so you've gotten the clearance from your cardiologist. Have you had any other like weird heartbeats or high blood pressure or anything else like that ever since?
No, actually, recently, probably a month ago, I did have some chest pain. So whenever I go back to that hospital, that when I was hospitalized, they do take me in, and they're very serious. And so you have an autoimmune condition, inflammatory. So the doctor was very careful, and he did an ultrasound, an X-ray, like he did all the tests and said, no, your heart is fine, it's not inflamed, it's doing okay. So there's no. Thank God, it's my heart is still pumping, okay.
Still ticking. That's good. That is good.
But it's still in the back of my mind to see that it is possible. It was very scary. It was so scary.
Yeah. So you've taken it for rheumatoid arthritis. Is there any other autoimmune or other condition that you've needed to take prednisone for?
Well, I'm not particularly sure. I also have Sjogren's syndrome, which is another autoimmune disease or rheumatic disease, and a fibromyalgia, but I'm sure that mostly the prednisone has been prescribed for the rheumatoid arthritis. And there has been like several stages in my life where they increase it, but always for certain, every time there's a change on the main treatment, the prednisone goes on.
Yeah.
It's just a necessary evil.
Yeah, exactly. It is. Yeah, I haven't heard of anybody using prednisone for Sjogren's syndrome. I've heard of like Restasis, the eye drops, the cyclosporin eye drops. That lots of people take cyclosporin and prednisone because it's an anti-inflammatory thing people often use for autoimmune conditions, but it's an eye drop instead of the pill that a lot of people end up taking. So have you ever used that eye drop?
Yes, oh, definitely. My Sjogren's, again, just like I just go for the extremes. I have the severe Sjogren's, so I have like no tears at all. So very poor, like saliva production. Like have my Sjogren's for even before the rheumatoid arthritis. But definitely, it's like with the prednisone, with the rheumatoid arthritis, it was so visible. Like when I took it initially, and my joints actually, I could see the swelling going down. Like as you can see, my arthritis, it's just the deformities, and they're irreversible. So this, like even as a dietitian, I always say like medication are so important in the treatment of these autoimmune diseases. Food will never, ever replace the treatment. So the early detection and early treatment will prevent this.
Yes. Oh, I love that perspective. Okay, we haven't even talked about this whole part of you. So let's talk about it. You're a dietitian. How do you help people? What have you learned? What can you share about this?
I learned I actually like to. It's something very clear for patients. It's that I've been living with rheumatoid arthritis for over 20 years. And diet is not a cure and it's not a replacement of the treatment. And I think I want to make that very clear. Diet and even food in this situation is not medicine. I'm sorry. But you actually need the actual medicine to get treated and to prevent these joint deformities. Because a healthy lifestyle in Colombia, I was studying nutrition. That still didn't prevent me from getting joint deformities. What it helped was getting the treatment, getting them to more advanced therapies, which luckily a lot of people have access to. It doesn't take away that rheumatoid arthritis is still the fatigue. You still kind of continue with that. Sometimes the treatments fail. And it's that the treatment fails. You don't fail, it's the treatment.
Yes, it's not you, it's the treatment. I love how you're taking away like how we take upon us this guilt, and it's not our fault if the medication isn't designed for us. It might be other people with our disease, but not for us. So yeah, keep going.
So you have to take that honest, like it's not your fault. Would it be your fault if you start seeking treatment and you still trying to replace that treatment with crazy diets or restrictions? Then that would be your fault. Because you're taking those measures. So that's why you have to take a very like holistic and comprehensive approach to managing autoimmune diseases and rheumatic diseases. But I do find though is that when it comes to taking the right nutritional strategies, it's like a healthful lifestyle in general, it will help prevent other chronic illnesses, right? So it could help you manage certain side effects, and a lot of them could be related to prednisone. So when I speak to my patients, or when I consult my patients and they are on prednisone, one, I acknowledge their fear and how they feel about taking prednisone. Acknowledge that, yeah, there's a fear that could be the weight gain, that there is a fear that they could retain fluids, that they feel. So there's actually dietary interventions you could do. You need to control your sodium intake. I actually had a patient who was drinking like over 4 liters of water.
So you had something to show me. I want to see.
Yeah, so what I wanted to show you, so when it comes to nutritional interventions, when you are taking prednisone, so there are actually a few tips that you can consider. So first of all is you want to increase your protein intake. Mainly, or I suggest, especially for reducing inflammation, more plant-based sources. So think about legumes, seeds, and nuts. Particularly, remember that when you're on prednisone, you are at a higher risk of losing more protein, right, to your kidneys. And also, you want to make sure that you want to keep those muscles strong. Keep your sodium intake low. So I know, and this is a hard one because I find that a lot of patients with prednisone, they get those munchies and all they want to eat are the salty snacks, right?
Exactly. It makes you crave it. It's so bad, but it's like the worst thing you can do.
It's like, oh my goodness. But I always say, okay, just honestly, don't deprive yourself, because the more you look at that popcorn or those chips, just make sure that you portion those, enjoy them, savor them. It doesn't need to be like a lot of them, but at least portion them. Don't take them out of the bag, straight out of the bag. Just put them in a bowl, enjoy. It's still away from the kitchen. And perhaps just after 15-20 minutes, just taking your chips and enjoying them, you probably won't need them anymore.
That is a great tactic. I love that. Just giving us a tool that we can use to not succumb to eating an entire bag of chips.
Yeah, and it's still enjoy, because the more you say this, you tell yourself, I can't have it, you just want to have them, right? So once you allow yourself, when they give permission to yourself, it's like, oh, I don't need to eat the whole thing. This is okay for me. So that has been working with my clients. Monitoring your fluids, I had very active clients, and while doing so, they were overhydrating themselves. They were drinking 4 or 5 liters a day of fluids. Really? Not just water. So they were saying, like, I'm still gaining weight, but I'm not eating anything extra. And I said, well, I want you to monitor how much fluids you're actually taking, and see if, like, was it normal for your physical activity? Based on your activity, perhaps you need 2 liters of water. That's fine. It keeps you regular. But what about if you're consuming more than that? And I had a client that specifically was drinking so much water and started decreasing slowly, and her weight is starting to come off.
She was retaining water. Yeah, prednisone definitely does that.
So I was like, monitor, and also eating a calcium-rich food. So remember, right, that prednisone loves to, I would just like scrape, right, the calcium of your bones.
Yeah.
Also like making sure you have like your vitamin D. So calcium rich foods, fortunately, if you're following a plant-based diet, remember now most of plant-based beverages, almond milk or soy milk, they're all fortified with calcium. Orange juice is fortified with calcium. Dairy products, of course, they're like filled with calcium. Tofu, it's actually very rich in calcium. Canned salmons and sardines, those are the ones that I said are the richest. You could get maybe from other vegetables, but these ones, in fact, are going to get absorbed in your body. And also, in order to balance the sodium and potassium intake, the sodium levels, you want to increase the potassium-rich foods, right? So beans and lentils, as you can see, I love my beans and lentils. And anything legumes like avocados, bananas, prunes, tomatoes, oranges, potatoes, dairy products, they're all are high in potassium. So it's all like, I think, the pearls when you are on prednisone to keep up with the protein, the sodium, potassium intake, monitor your fluid intake, and eat your calcium-rich foods. And don't forget to supplement with vitamin D, at least. I think those are the ones.
I love that. Yeah, when you're in where you live in Canada, it's pretty hard to get vitamin D from the sun, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But even for those who live anywhere else and they have access to the beautiful sunshine, they have seen that in patients with autoimmune diseases, they tend to have a lower vitamin D levels. So it's worth like get them checked just to see if you need like supplementation, even if you're living in these sunshine countries or counties.
Yes, exactly. I couldn't agree more with pretty much everything you've said. This has been so valuable. So, I mean, I was gonna ask what tips you have, but like you just nailed it. We're set when it comes to that. And then let's see. I think we've talked about alternative medications. So I wanted to know, we have just a few more questions, is what would you tell others with prednisone to expect when taking prednisone?
What to expect? Oh, what to expect in terms of side effects?
Just like what you wish you'd known, or that first dose, what maybe going from before to after, what to expect, the good, the bad, the ugly.
The first dose is probably the most wonderful dose that you ever, if you're taking it for pain, honestly, it's probably the most that you actually feel like, oh my God, I could stay on this medication forever. It's like bliss. Honestly, I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
It's if you're being suffering in pain, especially if you have arthritis or inflammation, and you just take honestly that pill, it feels like it's like a magic pill. You take it and it takes that pain away. It's wonderful. But it's too good to be true. And yes, it helps. And even in the rheumatology field, as they were aiming to reduce and to use prednisone only temporarily because of all the side effects or systemic side effects that we discussed today. So definitely you could expect, if you're higher doses, to have some weight gain. Like I said, it is possible. Sleep disorders. I had mood disorders. I got very moody. One thing that I forgot, I bruise easily.
Oh, yes.
Bruise easily. My husband thinks like, oh my God, you might think that I beat you up. And I said, no. No. And it's like, I don't like cover up your arms. And it's like anywhere, I don't even know. And I have a bruise. So that's really unpleasant and unexpected from prednisone. You could have increase in appetite. Some others might have a loss of appetite. That's my case, but I think the increased appetite is more common. That's what I feel like I experienced. Mouth sores, and okay, now I have another one. Yeast infections
You've had those.
I had those yeast infections. Whenever I take the prednisone, eat them both orally and vagina.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So those I seem to every time when I have a higher dose of prednisone and mouth sores. So it's probably related to the immunosuppressant effect of the prednisone.
Yeah. It's funny because I heard about that side effect in pharmacy school all the time. And I have talked to very few people who've actually mentioned it. So I'm thrilled to actually hear that side effect mentioned, because you're right. It does decrease the immune response that would keep the normal yeast in check. Like the yeast is there. It's in your mouth. It's covering your whole body, your vaginal area and everything. But normally your immune system can keep it just in the right balance. But then the higher the dose, the more likely you are to have that. And often people with the inhaled version of steroids, they have to deal with that because they're actually putting the steroid right on their mouth, in and around their mouth. So
Exactly.
yeah, that's a one you don't hear very much, but it's unappreciated because it's so painful, right? Like those sores in your mouth.
It is uncomfortable because the treatment is quite awful when it comes to when you have the oral thrush. And also when you have like vaginal like yeast infections, it also, can affect your sex life, right? Intimacy, it's uncomfortable, it's painful. And again, like women are so like, we're not so open to talk about it, but it is a reality.
Yeah.
Another unpleasant side effect, and I actually had it since I was in my 20s, it was osteopenia.
Yes. Yeah, the bone loss. Yeah. But when we first started this interview, you were doing something. You were like, I just got back from the.
Oh yeah, I got back from the gym.
And so I'd love to know, what do you do at the gym as somebody who clearly has, an impairment in functioning like a normal person would at the gym, but you're aware of how vitally important it is to prevent further bone loss, right? So what do you do at the gym?
So at the gym, I typically do around like 20 minutes of cardio. So depending on how my levels of pain. So biking is usually safer and the elliptical machine. If I'm okay, I will do the treadmill, maybe 15-minute walk, because that could also have like a high impact exercise on my knees. So I'll say the bike or the elliptical will be the safest. And I'm very lucky that at these, I go to the city of Oshawa here in Ontario, and their facilities, they have personal trainers, and they're not out there to get you. They actually support you. And I am there. And I said, today I want to work on my biceps. So I always add some strengthening exercise because I know that's what is going to make a difference in terms of bone density. So I'm very conscious of always exercising at least one part of my body, making sure that the moment I started feeling pain, there's that pain that it comes with the exercise, but there's that pain that is related to arthritis. At that moment, I stop. So then the next day, I won't feel like, oh no, I'm so sore, I can't go back to the gym. So it's becoming like a vital part of my routine. And it's definitely helping me with the fatigue. I don't know what it is, but if it's helping me with reducing the prednisone because I don't feel that inflammation. So it has all these benefits that I'm just in awe. So, but always most importantly is to listen to your body and to move. If you can't go to the gym, at least go for a walk, or go outside and get some fresh air, stretch, but movement is so critical.
So critical, because you've talked about bone loss, and earlier you mentioned the muscle loss, like you felt it happening. And what you're doing, that strength training, is one of the few things that you can do to help counteract that, because it's like once it's gone, it's really hard to get back. So doing what you can to maintain it.
It's so true. It's so easy, as in I've been a patient for so many years, and I have gone through the dark holes where it hits me, the pain, even with the prednisone fatigue, it's like, I'm not moving. I'm not getting out of here. But that is really not helpful. And so the more you can tell yourself, the more I move, let's get up, even if it's just the one thing, 5 minutes you can do for yourself, and you're gonna feel so much better. And I'm saying it from experience. It's from a very young age. And a physical activity has always been part of my life. And my mom in Colombia. And so much so that I got so excited that I might teach some Zumba Gold to the seniors in my city.
Wow, Zumba. That's awesome. I love Zumba. It's so fun. That's awesome that you know that's part of your heritage and your family's. You're generationally active. That's fantastic.
Yeah, we have to, honestly, the one thing is keep on moving. I remember my dad, when I was with rheumatoid arthritis, I was just active and I was just lying down for hours at a time. And they had no idea, no medical said, Christina, move, let's get moving. Let's go for a walk. I said, no, I don't want, let's go moving. You don't use it, you lose it. So, yep, he was right.
Yeah, you don't use it, you lose it. Exactly. Okay, so you mentioned your name and I have to know, have you watched Princess Bride, the movie?
Of course.
Because your cousin's in it, right?
I never heard of it, to be honest, when I came to Canada and I said, oh, my name is Montoya. He said, what are you talking about?
Yep. Your name is just so perfect when it comes to, my name is Inigo Montoya. Yours is like the exact same syllables and like the E sound is even in the middle.
Yeah.
Christina Montoya. You killed my father, prepare to die. Because I have used that exact story of him, of his experience as the swordsman. His dad made swords and the six-fingered man came and wanted a sword built just for his special hand. And then when he came, he refused to pay, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the six-fingered man killed his father. And then when he tried to defend the honor of his father, he gave him scars on both of his cheeks. And I've loved that because he used that experience, getting scars, losing so much, as kind of an analogy for our health, for like, we have to deal with something on our face that isn't what we want it to be. For most of us on prednisone, we get moon face at higher doses. And he didn't go and hide. Well, for a little bit, he did go and hide, but he used his facial change as a symbol, a daily reminder that he's a warrior and he has a fight to win. And you've given us so many tools, so many tips that we can use to counteract side effects and to feel so much better. So I want to know, finally, as a dietitian, what is your go-to snack when you're getting the prednisone munchies?
My go-to snack is definitely hummus.
Hummus?
Hummus with some gluten-free pita bread or guacamole with nachos, obviously, and beans. That's definitely my snack. And yeah, that's my go-to snack. I sometimes love popcorn. I don't deny it, popcorn. And as you can see, it's usually a salty snack. So I want to make sure that I pair my hummus with lots of veggies.
Yes, I love that. Yours is a salty snack. So funny when I ask this question, some people are like straight up like candy, other people are straight up fruit, and other people are straight up something salty. And so that's awesome. That was your like super healthy, yet it's got a little bit of sodium, more than normal, but still delicious and good for your body. So
yeah, absolutely. So, oh my goodness, this conversation was amazing.
Yes, I really appreciate your time today. Thank you for joining me and all the other prednisone warriors. Which diet is best for people on prednisone? That's a question that's asked at least once a day, if not once a week, in the Facebook support groups. I wanted to know, and so I did a lot of research. I tried to figure out what the needs are of people on prednisone and then figure out which diet would be best for them. And I've discovered a lot of things that I want to share with you today. So first of all, what do people on prednisone need? Number one, prednisone is a glucocorticoid. Gluco meaning glucose. It's messing with your glucose. And so we need to find something that will help keep your blood sugar steady. Second is prednisone's a catabolic hormone. It's breaking down your muscles and bones. So we need something that will help build them back up. Third is prednisone is stealing nutrients like calcium and potassium and making you retain nutrients like sodium. So we want to find a diet that is healthy for all of those things. Last of all, prednisone is hijacking your hunger hormones. So we need to find something that helps with those hunger cravings. And now I'll share what I found. We're going to go in order of oldest to youngest as far as diets. Which diets have been around the longest and which of them are kind of newer on the scene. So first of all, we will start with Weight Watchers. You see that? 50th anniversary, 50 years old. It has been around a long time. And I think what's great about Weight Watchers is you have a support group, you have points, you have this system. And so if you need somebody to hold your hand, if you need somebody to keep you accountable, if you need points that will tell you what is good and what is not, then Weight Watchers is great for you. Weight Watchers does have the possibility of letting you eat refined foods that aren't so good for you, like they sell some snack foods that are not great because they are refined. And so you want to eat things that aren't refined. So that's what's not great for it. And it was made in the era when low fat was all that mattered. When all of the heart doctors and the American government were all saying that we all need to eat low fat. And that has pretty much been debunked. And that's not the only thing that matters. And so eating good foods in here and having somebody support you is a great strategy if that's the type of person you are. So we have this, and you can even make it fast. You can make it quicker. So that's Weight Watchers. Next is, we're going to talk about the South Beach diet. So the South Beach diet, supercharged, the South Beach diet, good carbs, good fats guide. Sorry, I said that backwards. And they're later came to the scene with the South Beach diet gluten solution. So basically the South Beach diet helps you eliminate processed foods, especially things like trans fats. And trans fats are found in margarine and other fake fats that are in cookies and chips, and basically if it comes from a manufacturer, they are likely to use trans fats. So I love that it says to avoid that, and I don't think anyone will disagree with that. What was interesting is they came up with this gluten solution book because they found that eliminating all of the foods that they say to do, they like have phases where phase 1 you eliminate a lot of foods, and how that included most gluten containing grains, and how people did really well on that. And then a lot of people ended up not getting out of phase 1 because they were doing so well. And if they tried to go on to phase 2 and reintroduce wheat and other gluten containing foods, they didn't do so well. So they found that the phase 1 of the South Beach diet was great. I think that that's a good strategy if you're okay giving up a lot of foods. And it has a great scale of good foods to avoid and good carbs to avoid. The thing about what's in this book is a lot of it has been debunked. Like, it demonizes butter and says you should use, I can't believe it's not butter, which is not great advice anymore. I don't think there are very many people who would agree with that. So the older South Beach diet tips are not as good. They keep updating it. And so if you choose this diet, make sure you're following one of the newer books about it. So that was South Beach. And now we're going to move on to the Whole Foods plant-based. And the number one proponent of this is T. Colin Campbell. He did a study called the China Study, where he followed people who were still eating their traditional foods in China and how they had a much lower risk of cancer and heart disease by eating whole foods that were mostly plants. And that they might eat the same foods all the time, and it was okay because they didn't get cancer and things like that we get in the Western world by eating our refined foods, our refined carbohydrates, and we take out all the good nutrients and then try to add them back in. So the point of the Whole Foods plant-based is to eat mostly vegan, to take out all meats and dairy and fish, and essentially if it didn't come from a plant, then you don't eat it, including oils. They don't eat a lot of oil either. So if that's something you're interested in, I thought this one was a really helpful book. It's written by two doctors, husband and wife, and they give great tips if you are trying to implement this as a complete lifestyle change for your whole family. Because if there are kids involved, you need to find a way to make eating just plant foods palatable to them, because they're probably used to the standard American diet with lots of candy and lots of refined foods that they offer at school. So this has some great tips in there for how to make that change as a family, how to make that change within your social construct. So with your friends and, when you go to gatherings, to still be able to eat this way. I think that this diet strategy has one question that many people ask if you're going to do it, and that is, can you get enough protein? Because I said that there were the 4 important things for people on prednisone, and protein was number 2. And so, yes, you can get enough protein in your diet using the plant-based whole foods lifestyle. And in fact, you might get a more balanced protein as far as like getting omega-3 fatty acids in the balanced ratio. And so if you want to have a diet that has less of an ecological impact, such as you're eating food that took less water to make. It takes a lot more water to raise a cow than to raise an acre of corn or wheat or plants. And if you're eating this diet while eating locally sourced foods, and that's really the best as far as your impact on the planet, your green carbon footprint, because you're having less fossil fuels to transport the food to you and less fossil fuels to make that cow grow. So it's a great strategy if you want to save money and save the planet. And if you also are looking for a spiritual reason to do so, this is called Discovering the Word of Wisdom. And it's especially for people who are members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, because it talks about the spiritual benefits of following the Word of Wisdom, which is a dietary recommendation in that church. So that was the Whole Foods plant-based lifestyle. Here's whole. We're adding our stack. It's going to get pretty big. Next is when we're talking about the 3 macronutrients, we have the carbohydrates, which the Whole Foods plant-based lifestyle is very rich in carbohydrates. Then there's the protein, which we've already talked about is really important for people on prednisone. And the Whole Foods plant-based lifestyle is lower in that. It only has about 10%. Then there's fats. And they even cut out oils. So you're only getting fats that naturally occur in the plants. So it's low in that. So it's low in fat and low in protein and high in carbohydrate. Now we're going to look at the complete opposite. We're going to start with the founder of the one who popularized it. He's not the one who came up with this strategy. He's just the one who made it really popular and was crucified for doing so. That is Atkins, Dr. Robert C. Atkins. He created the Atkins lifestyle or Atkins diet, and essentially it cuts out most carbohydrates, especially the starchy ones, the vegetables, and not the vegetables, excuse me. Well, the starchy vegetables. And it cuts out all of those refined foods that we already know we shouldn't eat. So it focuses on getting the protein you need and the fat you need. And the premise is that we've been told that eating low fat is the only way to go as far as preventing heart disease. And that isn't true. That was bad advice and made us eat a more refined carbohydrate lifestyle, which has only worsened our obesity epidemic, which has worsened the heart disease epidemic. And so eating as close to nature as possible is best, including eating animals as close to their natural source. So not eating hot dogs, but eating a steak. And not just any steak, but a steak from a grass-fed cow that was able to free range, and free range eggs from a chicken that was able to eat whatever they wanted as far as many bugs as they wanted. And so that's the very best approach to this, instead of animals that were raised in a food operation plant where they just feed them whatever they can, including antibiotics and garbage and all sorts of disgusting things. That if you avoid that type of meat, then that's the best strategy. That means it's going to cost you a lot of money, and it's going to likely cost money to transport that to you. And so that's got a less of an impact on more of an impact on the ecology of the world and the environment. But there is great evidence that you can eat this way and get the protein you need and decrease the sugars. Those are the first two, and get good nutrients. You don't just get calcium from dairy. You can get calcium from lots of other things. And it helps. This is one of the best things, is it helps with the cravings. So the meat-based low-carb strategies all have great value. So next we're going to talk about paleo. And what in the world is paleo? Paleo stands for Paleolithic. That means it goes back to our hunter-gatherer ancestors and what they ate. They would go and hunt and kill that animal and eat the whole animal, and they would gather grains and fruits like seeds, berries, and they would eat simple things that were that they didn't raise. They didn't raise the animals. They didn't raise they didn't grow their wheat to harvest it. They weren't farmers. They were hunters and gatherers. So if you go back 20,000 years, that's how humans ate, we think. We don't actually know for sure. And I read the Paleo Approach and the Practically Paleo, and those were great books. I had to return them to the library, though, because they were in such high demand. So those are good if you're just getting started. And then if you want to get a Mediterranean spin on that, there's this Mediterranean paleo cooking, and it takes the best of the Mediterranean diet and the paleo diet. The Mediterranean diet is usually low in protein as far as meat protein, and so this is taking the high in meat protein paleo strategy with the high in vegetables and other good foods from the Mediterranean diet, and kind of taking out the noodles, like the the refined white noodles, we've adopted in America and only using zucchini noodles or other less refined versions of noodles. So I think paleo is great, especially if you're taking prednisone for an autoimmune condition. So this is the Autoimmune Paleo Cookbook. And there's the Autoimmune Paleo or AIP diet. It also stands for the Autoimmune Protocol. And basically that means that you're using food as your medicine. You're using food to combat whatever is causing your health condition. So basically, the autoimmune protocol is a stricter form of paleo where you eliminate a ton of food groups. They make beautiful recipes that look delicious. So you're not being starved or anything, but they're eliminating these for a reason. And that's because they believe that these food groups are inflammatory and causing your body to attack itself. So what is autoimmune? That's where your immune system is attacking your body. So I have immune thrombocytopenia, ITP, which is where my immune system is attacking my platelets, and that can lead to bleeding to death. So I personally have at least 3, if not 5 autoimmune conditions. So if you're like me and your immune system is attacking your body for whatever reason, their approach is that you can use food to help turn off that inflammatory cycle and only eat foods that are low in inflammation inducing, and then slowly reintroduce foods that could potentially be causing inflammation and immune system wackiness. So some foods they eliminate include gluten, dairy, even the nightshade group of vegetables like tomatoes and peppers. They eliminate those. Even some spices like peppers. And so if you are suffering and you want to take a radical approach to fight back against your immune system wackiness, then the autoimmune approach, I think, is a really good strategy. The autoimmune paleo protocol, AIP diet, whatever you want to call it, I think it's a good strategy to start. I mean, aside from not eating the standard American diet, like, you're not going to lose anything. It's going to be a good strategy. So then the author of that cookbook came out with this autoimmune wellness handbook, which I think is fantastic. I think if you have an autoimmune condition, there are lots of factors at play, and it's not just your diet. And this book helps you change your entire lifestyle, from breathing to sleep, to being your own advocate for your health and knowing what to say to your doctors. I think all of those are foundational in being able to change your health. And if you don't have those skills already, then they teach you. And it's a beautiful book. It's got great charts and graphs and tips and real life examples. So if that's why you're taking prednisone, I highly encourage you to read that book. It resonates with everything I've been trying to say as the prednisone pharmacist. So next is the Simply Keto. So this is one keto book. I tried to get more keto books at the library, but they were all way back as far as trying to get it on the holds at the library, because it's so popular. It's the new latest craze. Even Dr. Josh Axe came out with his own keto book. So why would you want to go keto? What is keto? As far as I can tell, keto stands for ketogenic, ketogenesis. And what in the world is ketogenesis? Well, let me take you back to the first year of pharmacy school when we learned about micro and organic chemistry and how all of the metabolism of things happen in your body, how you break down carbohydrates, how your body uses proteins, how your body breaks down fats. And in the normal American diet, we are getting all of our energy from glucose, from eating carbohydrates. And our body doesn't go into ketogenesis very often, which is when you stop relying on the glucose and you start relying on the fat and the protein to create your energy in the form of ketone bodies. And when I first heard about the keto diet, I was super skeptical and I thought people were poisoning themselves, because the main way we learned about ketones and like ketone bodies and ketogenesis was when somebody is diagnosed with diabetes, specifically type 1 diabetes, and their body is unable to use all the sugars, and so is breaking down their muscles and trying to use all of their fat in their body to make energy, and is basically killing itself from the inside out, and they're in diabetic ketoacidosis. And it's a very dangerous situation. It's life-threatening, and people are in the ICU for like a week to get out of it. And so that's what I thought people were doing on the keto diet. And now I know that the type of ketogenesis, that ketoacidosis that people with that type of diabetes are in, that is so life-threatening and dangerous, is very extreme. And what the keto diet is advocating is much more minor and is theoretically sustainable. And so basically, it eliminates, like these other ones, most of the carbohydrates, and you only get a tiny bit of carbohydrates when you are using the keto diet. You're mostly only getting carbohydrates that are naturally occurring in foods. Like there are carbohydrates in meat. There are carbohydrates in like dairy. You might not think there are, but there are. And so you're cutting out carbs and making your body force it into this ketogenic state. And it can make you feel kind of yucky for a little while until they call it keto adapted. And so I think that this has value. When I did a poll of people on prednisone in a prednisone support group of what dietary strategies are working for them, they said that keto was working for a lot of people, that giving up all of these sugars, these carbs, was helpful, and that they were getting the protein they needed for sure. And so I think there's value. As far as all of these diets, I'm giving you my opinion as far as what I know about prednisone and what I know about these diets. I'm not an expert on any of these diets. I'm not a nutritionist, but I am a pharmacist and I do have a doctorate degree. And so this is my best opinion, but it's not founded on any evidence as far as prednisone itself. So there's no trial that compares, okay, if you're on prednisone, let's compare keto to paleo or paleo to whole foods plant-based. There's no evidence like that I can give you. So this is all based on just the principles of how these diets are working and how prednisone works. And so basically all of these diets can potentially work for you, but they also could potentially be harmful for people on prednisone, but I can't find any evidence of that. So just take it all with a big grain of salt. But when you're on prednisone, don't take a grain of salt, because prednisone is making you retain sodium, right? Okay, next is the Whole30 diet. Now, Whole30 is a 30-day diet. It's basically really similar to those last ones where you eliminate all sorts of foods and then you slowly reintroduce foods. I think this is a great strategy if you're just getting started. You don't know a lot about how to cook foods that are whole. You're stuck in the standard American diet. It will give you a complete reset, kick you in the pants, and help you learn how to cook for yourself in this healthy way. The one thing it doesn't have going for it is it's a 30-day plan. And so once you reintroduce these foods, you kind of have to stick with some sort of a lifestyle strategy, but this is meant for a 30-day reset. So I think it's valuable as well. So which diet is the best for people on prednisone? That is the question, right? And my answer to you is they're all good. I am a diet agnostic. I think that if you're going to eliminate a certain food because it's causing your system to go bad, great, do it. But if you're going to do it right. And make sure you're getting the other correct nutrients that you do need. If you're going to eliminate all carbohydrates, then awesome. But if you mess up, if you go and eat a chocolate cake after you've gone keto or you've gone paleo, that's okay, because the number one most important day in any goal and in any lifestyle change, in any diet, is the day after you mess up, the day after perfect. So give yourself grace, get back up again, as they sing in Trolls, and start over doing it right again, because you're worth it. And it just because you messed up doesn't mean you're a bad person. It means that you have needs that aren't being met. And especially when you're on prednisone, you need to give yourself grace, because it's changing your personality. It's messing with your prefrontal cortex. It's messing with your hunger signals. It's messing with all those places that would give you the most success if you were to completely change your lifestyle. And so if you need to ease into this slowly, then do that. I think the first thing to do is, if it came in a box from the middle of the grocery store, stop buying that. Just stop buying that. That's not going to serve you while you're on prednisone. You need things that are from the perimeter of the grocery store and that are as close to the source as possible, that the digestion of it didn't start in a manufacturing facility. And so you find what works best for you. If you need to save money, whole foods plant-based might be the great strategy for you, because you can eat beans and rice and that costs pennies a day. If you feel like you have an autoimmune condition, go for the autoimmune paleo approach. That would be a good strategy. It's going to cost more money, and potentially all of these can cost more time, but really they're not costing more time. What's costing you time is having your health messed up. And so it's worth it to invest in yourself by taking control of your eating. And step 1, drink more water. Step 2, eat more foods from the source. Step 3, throw away all those box things, or maybe in a different order. Whatever order works for you, but take a step today. And I love this strategy that if you don't want to go cold turkey, what can you do today to be 1% better? And if you're 1% better every day, think of where you'll be in a year. So eating one less bite of dessert, or eating one more bite of a leafy green vegetable. Because if there's one thing every single one of these diets agree on, is that everyone should eat leafy green vegetables. They all say that. They all agree on that. They all agree on less refined foods. They all agree on learning more about your food. If you understand where it's coming from, you appreciate what Mother Nature put in to make it for you, you're going to naturally eat less. And because there will be less fillers and less things that are making you feel hungry. So I encourage you to take one step today, whatever step that is that I've mentioned. Choose one of them and do it, and be 1% better tomorrow. Then I invite you to like my page, Nutrinize. It is where I am giving you all the deals and all the information I have about the dietary supplement I created for people on prednisone, because prednisone is stealing all of those nutrients, and this contains the nutrients you need. It is designed to help reduce your suffering while on prednisone, to replenish those nutrients, and to help you recover. If you see this before May 31st, you can still use the discount code LIVE at checkout for your first purchase of Nutrinize Zone. Go over there and like Nutrinize so you can find out more about it. Talk to you next week where we will talk about dietary strategies. So prednisone is not only messing with the nutrients, but it's also messing with your brain. So we're going to talk about strategies for your brain and eating well. Thank you so much for joining me on this Prednisone Weight Gain Marathon. From understanding the real causes of weight gain to learning strategies and hearing real life successes, I hope this series has given you the tools and confidence to take control of your health while on prednisone. If you enjoyed this marathon, be sure to check out some of my other series, like the Prednisone Timing series, for even more guidance and support on your prednisone journey. And don't forget to download your Nutrients You Need cheat sheet. It's a simple one-page printable guide to remind you of what you've learned in this series. And stay on track with your nutrition while on prednisone. You'll find the link in the description or show notes. Thanks again for trusting me as your guide. Signing off as Dr. Megan, your prednisone pharmacist.